Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday to you. Today is Monday, March 2nd, 2026. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and this is Project Joy Live. It's your triple shot of good vibes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at this 9 a.m. Eastern Time hour. I'm tired this morning because I was up past my bedtime last night. I'm an early to bed, but because I'm very, very early riser. But we got tickets last night to see Boy George and Culture Club at Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. And it was such a great show, so fun. And it was hilarious because I had posted on Facebook that we were there. It's like, the little check-in where you can check into an event. And I got messages from friends of mine who were like, we're here too. We're in this section. What section are you in? Now, mind you, I have my cute, fancy bifocals, but they fail me sometimes. So they're in their section. I'm waving. I'm like, I don't see you. And so they saw me, but I did not see them. So hi to everybody else that was at the show last night. But we went early to go pick up our tickets, and usually we have to wait in line a little while for that. And so then we had time to go eat, and we were going to go eat at Beauty and Essex. I have been wanting to go to Beauty and Essex for a while. It's a speakeasy, and it's kind of funny because they have it set up. It looks like when you're walking past it in Mohegan Sun that it's a thrift store of some kind. So you walk by this, clear glass, and you see like random things inside that looks like you could buy, but there's a hidden door somewhere inside there, and you go into this swanky little bar and restaurant. And but they were all booked up, and so us going to the show was going to be kind of a last minute decision this last week. So I texted my cousin Jim, and I was like, can we come over to the show? He always says absolutely, come on over. And so we went there. It was a great audience last night. You never really know what you're going to get. Obviously, we've seen his show and many variations of it several times throughout the years. For those of you that don't know, at Comedy Club at Mohegan Sun Casino, my cousin headlines 4 nights a week: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Jim Spinato, it's his comedy hypnosis he does once a month, and then the comedy magic show, not your children's magic show. Do not bring your children to that show. That's all I'm going to tell you. Do not bring your children to that show. But he was voted TripAdvisor's top show for 2025, and so does really well over there. I've seen the show several times. He always has different openers, different comedians, magicians, hypnotists, mentalists, things like that. It's super fun. And we had a great time, but you never know what you're going to get with the audience. The audience makes such a big difference in shows like that. And so it was a great show as always. And then to see Boy George Culture Club, an amazing throwback. I was telling my special guest today, which I'll be talking about in just a minute, that I love shows like that that are, more nostalgic in nature, because you're not just there for the music. They tell stories about their journeys and things that they've discovered and the history of their careers and things like that. And so it was super fun. And I will tell you, lots of hits sung throughout the night. Boy George was Boy Georging. He had the whole, always a fun time to see what he's wearing and all of that. But I thought he was going to leave without singing the Blue Duck Society theme song. Do you guys know what it is? So I've mentioned several times that my group, the Blue Duck Society, part of that society came from the scene from the Adam Sandler movie Billy Madison, where he draws a blue duck. And there's a scene also in Billy Madison where he starts singing Culture Club's I'll Tumble For You, right? And so he's doing this whole little dance down the stairs in the movie. So he finishes the song Karma Chameleon, right? And he goes to walk off the stage, and I'm over here like, how dare you not sing my song? and he circles back around and starts singing I'll Tumble For You a cappella. It was so fun. The whole audience was singing. I got up, and I'm singing and dancing, and it was fantastic. Another super favorite moment of the concert was when he talked about the influence that David Bowie had on his music and his life. And he did an amazing cover of Just Dance by David Bowie. So good. It was really, really fantastic. So amazing show. And now I'm tired. Now I'm tired this morning. But coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about the power of virtual communities in 2026. I have Claudio Perrone here. Very excited, the creator of Ripley. We have lots to talk about today. So chime in and let me know what you're excited about with talking to Claudio. Also, if you're joining us live or on the replay, let us know where you're joining from and what is bringing you joy today. We have sang in that front row seat, happy, happy, joy, joy. Listen, look at the hashtag Charlie's Angels starting already. What a great day to be filled with joy in a world filled with chaos, right? Yes. Mike LeBlanc is out here. He says, who is it? I am the joy person. Ollie's out there in the audience. There we go. Good morning, Ollie. Good to see you. Miss Brittany's here. Happy Monday. Love it. What is Jessica brings the net to networking? Some call it charisma. Others call it Wi-Fi with a smile. I'm here for that, Mike LeBlanc. Very poetic this morning. Thank you so much. Yes, we have a special guest. You didn't know Blue Ducks had a theme song? Yes, it's I'll Tumble For You. That's what it is by the Culture Club. Oh, by the way, did you notice I have swag this morning? I wish I had more room in here. I could show you the back. It has the whole band. It's fantastic. All right. Mike says Claudio isn't just a coder. He's a wizard with a keyboard, turning caffeine and curiosity into pure brilliance. He's also a mean table tennis player. Love it. Love the poetic justice happening here this morning. Fantastic. Time to make waves. That's right. We have our friend Peggy MacArthur joining us from warm, sunny Los Angeles that nobody cares about right now because the rest of us are cold. Peggy. All right. Listen, we're going to take a super quick break. And when we come back through the magic, Claudio will be right here on your screen. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Welcome back to Project Joys. Please put your virtual hands together and welcome my friend Claudio Perrone to the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno anche a te. Buongiorno a tutti.
I love it. Listen, we've been having these conversations behind the scenes about being Italian, and I'm learning very quickly differences between people who are actually born in Italy and being being Italian that way, and being Italian American. Two very different things.
Oh, I'm learning new things every day here. Like, you know,
I
when
love
you
it.
sometimes feel, am I the fake Italian or?
I know it was. I found it funny. I showed you a picture of my the lineup of my family from a family wedding years ago. It was almost in black and white, and I remember you saying your family looks more Italian than mine does.
Well, that's for sure. Yeah. Besides, my mom is French, so I guess I'm already mixed in many ways.
Watered down.
Yeah, watered down.
down.
Yeah, exactly.
I am too. Yeah. That's how I ended up practically clear, while the rest of my family has much darker skin than I do, being from there. So, but I'm very excited that you're here today. And I couldn't think, honestly, of a better guest to chime in on the topic of community when, I mean, that's basically, you've been immersed in the world of creating a platform for that since December.
Yeah, that's right. Since December 1st. It seems like ages ago, but yeah, like I guess we've all been involved into communities for quite a long time, and but then in December 1st, yeah, I decided to create my own platform, which I don't feel is my own, to be honest, like because it's been developed together with everybody who there's 100 people right now basically doing beta testing on this and giving continuously feedback, and I'm learning new lessons all the time, and so
Yeah.
it's an incredible adventure.
I bet. I can't imagine. I mean, I've seen things and others have seen this being built from an outside perspective, and we know what our experience has been like. But with the little bit I get stressed out, I probably could multiply that by a million and it still wouldn't touch how the stress that you've experienced through this process.
I'm not too sure this would be stress. I mean, it is
Mm.
it is what it is, but as you know, right, in the past I created a story about Nikos, right? It was in old Greece basically, and you had this olive seller in ancient Greece who basically was doing that because that was in his heritage, right? He's been selling olives all his lives, and
Mm.
his family, going back to generations. But the problem was he didn't enjoy it, and he was even allergic to it.
Mm.
And so he goes through a transformation, and basically his dream is to sell sardines. But again, sardines are something that socially weren't acceptable because it's for stinky fishermen. Anyways, he goes through an adventure, basically a hero's journey, and basically fulfills his dream.
Mm.
And so I'm pretty sure, like, once you get there, you still have your pressures, on how you well serve everyone. And so I feel at this point, I feel like that as I was building that story, I was designing that story, I actually left the job I was in because I didn't feel it's almost, I almost felt like it was olives all around. So during the development of that story, it actually transformed me as well. And so right now, it doesn't matter what the pressure is. In the end, I'm very well aware these are my sardines,
Yeah.
and so that's okay.
Well, for those of you that got our newsletter, not I think it was last Monday, and I mentioned sardines at the at the end of the newsletter, and I was waiting for
Yeah.
somebody to be like, "What are you talking about?" That's what I'm talking about. So now you know
Yeah.
the story behind the sardines. But I think that story that you put together in our community was really powerful, because I think that it's one that a lot of people get caught in. They one day they sort of wake up and realize, I don't love what I do. And in fact, I hate what I do. I'm practically allergic to it, if they're not completely allergic to it. And so I think it resonated with a lot of people in that way. And to tie that into our topic of community, by sharing stories in that way, which is what we're really passionate about on the Breakthrough Show Network, that's how we, I feel like, sort of by accident end up creating our communities because people resonate with the stories. Has that been the case for you?
Oh, yes. um, you know, one reference from Mike, right, is that I can write code, for example, but and I definitely can write code, but there is this kind of stereotype of uh, coders or developers who work in complete isolation and or within their team, and there is a sort of a separation between people who write code and people on the outside world. And when I was younger, I guess I was lucky enough to, well, partially lucky, let's say. I did participate on some software architecture book that became very popular and whatever. But as a consequence, I was invited to these kind of invitation-only workshops and for software developers. And suddenly I would find myself with 10, 15 people who literally wrote history, okay, in the development work, so much so that you realize, what the hell am I doing here? I feel like maybe I'm on the wrong place. But one thing you realize is that a lot of these people are not afraid to share, and they constantly bounce around ideas, right? And so that's been my philosophy as well for building and developing software. Before I was involved, I created a community. I'm a community builder myself, right? It's not that I don't. And so you learn that first of all, by being it myself, I actually learned what the needs are, but also like constantly listening to what the community and people are saying, taking that in account, as a I'm just thinking, like, I think it was last week, like someone asked, are you going to provide like a roadmap or maybe a board where people can vote? And I said, can vote? No, this is not first of all, it's not a democracy, right?
I will never forget that was your response too.
But I was kind of thinking that as an entrepreneur, as a developer as well, but you really need to be opinionated. You can't serve everyone, for sure. You need to have an opinion. But the way I always say it is you need to hold those opinions quite loosely, right? And so what happens then is I can hear what people are saying. Sometimes are strong signals, like a lot of people asking for a particular thing. Sometimes there may be very weak signals. Like even if I have 100 people and only one says something, it may be something that opens up important possibilities, and people don't see what I see from the other side. And so it's fine for anyone to push for their own darling in terms of functionality, but in the end you need to really do a lot of work in terms of product management, right? And so that's why I'm very opinionated. Very often I would say no right away. And I'm not afraid to say so. And other times I change my mind, as it happened as well in the past.
I have been on the receiving end, boys and girls, of several no's, and few of those I have been lucky enough to experience being turned into a yes. So sometimes I'm learning to have patience, which is not something I was born with. So I'm learning to have patience, but I think that's important to be opinionated of what you're building, because ultimately it's your name that's on it, on top of the things that you desire, but your name is on it. You have to be able to stand behind it. So if you're not opinionated about what goes in there and you're just putting in everybody's suggestions, maybe that's something you don't want to be behind yourself.
Well, so this kind of idea of voting on features to me feels like you're developing by committee, which is never a good idea,
Mm,
right? To have a committee basically that decides. Usually, what ends up being is compromises, right? Things that maybe are divergent from the actual strong positioning that you want to have, and you're taking compromises in a direction or the other, and then in the end, you don't have a product uh, or service, I guess, with a clearly identified position. You have
mm,
basically this kind of aggregation of stuff that doesn't really do a good job for anything in the end.
right.
And that's something that happens very often in enterprises. I worked for really big companies, and what you end up is product managers who turned out like waiters, right? They just take the order, tell me what the order is, right? And they're bringing back the features done, but there's no real design, right?
Yeah.
And basically you start developing features based on, the salesperson who brings more money today, but then, maybe it's a disaster from the strategy point of view of the company moving forward, and so on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm excited because in on May 1st, you're going to be joining me on the Breakthrough Show, and we're going to get more of the behind the scenes of your journey into the world of the work that you're doing. And so make sure you guys tune into that May 1st, Friday, May 1st at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And in the meantime, there's been a lot of chatter, obviously, with those of us who have seen the behind the scenes of the creation of Ripley about what community actually means to them, and where it falls in their lives and business and all of that. I know that you're also, somebody mentioned in the chat about you play table tennis. There's a lot of things that you do, believe it or not, in your spare time outside
Yep.
of Ripley.
I like the
So
quotes.
so those are communities that you're part of as well. Is there a difference for you between a community that takes place offline and a community that's more virtual or online based?
Oh, absolutely huge, right? Huge. Like
Mm,
the space like Ripley, what happens is you have these live interactions. You see people's faces. You can talk. There's actually body language. There's a lot of stuff that goes on.
mm,
And no, I do like also the asynchronous, like the offline kind of aspect. But to me, like if you have like a regular live meetup on, say, on a weekly base, or maybe, whatever, on a regular base, you are creating real connections, and those connections become not less real once you may have like follow-ups or things in between just by writing
mhm,
text. However, if you're just a text-based community, we have like so many examples right now of how, social, I guess, is broken because you have people who never meet each other. They protect themselves behind, some fake names or whatever. And so that part is broken, and I'm really, really, I'm having really, really hard time to get back into that kind of system.
mm,
But I think the idea of having like a mix between, like, we meet on a regular base, or occasionally even, but there is like plenty of ways to interact,
mm,
and then continuing. Um, that definitely is an important pattern, and I feel like it does create like real uh, meaningful communities.
mm,
Okay, where like, but this is not the fault of people. This is the fault of how systems are designed, right? I tend to
mm,
think in terms of systems, and basically constraints and rules and things that let certain behaviors emerge. So if you create something like Ripley, where you have like cameras on, or a visual layout where you can interact like in different ways, it creates a different kind of constraints. They're called emerging, it's called an emergent behavior. Basically, those rules let a certain behavior emerge, and of course needs to be intentionally designed in some way.
Right.
But so it's down to us as community builders as well on how we create our environments and so on. But there is that opportunity that maybe just a text-based community does not allow you to do.
Right. Well, it's the same concept too of why the Breakthrough Show Network and all the shows on it have always been video shows as opposed to audio podcast, because for me, I'm a visual learner anyway. I need to be able to see, hear, and then have the experience piece also. But so to me, if I'm not going to go listen to a podcast, I'm not going to ask people to listen to my podcast. I know that's a strange way of thinking, I guess, but the other side of it too is I knew from the beginning that the Breakthrough Show Network was always going to have a community aspect. And so I found the idea of asking people to come be a part of community where we can see each other's faces, but they've only ever heard the shows, they've never actually seen our faces, that wasn't going to work. And so it to me, the face-to-face interaction has always been really important, because I love what you talked about how sometimes there's aspects missing when you're dealing with text or just audio. You're not seeing people's faces. When it's text, you don't have tone of voice, you don't have there's missed opportunities there. And so for us, it's always been important to have that sort of face-to-face interaction. But also, what I love about virtual community is the expansiveness of it, how you and I, are talking thousands of miles away. When if that wasn't always a thing before, if it was just an in-person situation, we wouldn't be able to have that interaction. Do you find that for your how do you feel? Oh, well, let me ask this. How do you feel about the expansiveness from that perspective when we're talking about bringing things globally? Is that more comforting for you, or does it create more of, an anxiousness, I guess, when you're creating a global platform?
Um, how can I explain this? I think it was last week, maybe the week after next, where someone basically was in tears.
Mm,
Okay, just thinking about, oh, this platform works and it allows me to, expand my business or, connect with people and so on. So to me, like, it's a real privilege to be able to build something like this that can serve so many people. And and this is not common. Okay, so even if you create like I know I'm on like a lot of developers, we know how to build, we don't necessarily know what to build. Okay, but to have something that goes beyond like freaking developing emoji systems or whatever, but actually something that has impact, it's a privilege, right? And it is a responsibility, but at least on on my case, definitely I don't my plan is definitely to expand well beyond my little circle our little circle, but just to to make something like this available to to expand globally basically on this. um but again, as I said before, is a huge privilege both on my side, and we hear a lot of these stories, and more of them will come for sure.
right. Do you feel like there's any downsides to virtual communities that are being created, and or what are in your mind, some of the things that you feel like we still can work on when it comes to creating community or creating spaces for a community?
I mean, there are definitely patterns that are emerging. So one thing that people know, I run a lot of experiments. I
Mhm.
experiment all the time. And so right now we're in a very close beta community where, people can't join in. They can enter as guests, but they can't really join in unless they're part of this group.
Mm.
And what I find interesting is that is sort of, I see it as a micro environment that you can almost study to see and expect what's going to happen in the future, right? And so there are certain aspects that are well beyond, let people create their own room. There's been a couple of instances, more than a couple of instances, where expanding and making communities discoverable led to certain behaviors that you say, oh, I need to kind of stop that, or now I need to moderate, or now I need to. And so you see this kind of microcosm cosm. Sounds
Hmm.
weird. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it well, but again, it's a relatively safe to fail experiment right now, which is okay, you know.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's good to see, some of these obstacles. I don't even know if to call them obstacles, but as I said before, like, I take responsibility of the system that I design, right? And I think it's our responsibilities as fathers, mothers, leaders, whatever, like teachers,
Yeah.
to create conditions that allow people to grow,
Mm.
right? And because of that, if certain behaviors emerge, I take partial responsibility, if nothing else, for a system that allows people to do that, right? And so you need to put some different tweaking or changing things in a way that would enable people to behave in the way that you expect, without control, right? But it's just like the right constraints.
Right. Right. I think from my perspective as well, there's an interesting thing that has happened as we've, made this transition from not having the internet at all to now having, immersive spaces. And that's that you have sort of different camps of people, if you will, where some people are trying to do everything as it always was done in an in-person community, and then you have people who are trying to do things completely new and not bringing over some of what worked in, the in-person experiences. Where what I'm attempting to do is, with every space that I create, I say, okay, how close can we get to the in-person experience while still remembering that there are those gaps, there are those things that are very different for a virtual community. And it's an interesting dance to participate in, because it all just is a giant experiment. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, interesting that you try to replicate, in-person experience. I tend not to do that, or at least not to
Mm,
take that assumption.
yeah.
This is a new way to interact, like, in many ways, and I don't want to be limited by replicating what's already real. Although,
Right.
like, in our minds, I was saying this, right? When you enter a room, the room enters your mind. Right? We'll stay there, your
So
mind.
good.
And but it is, in a way, like, we are tricked into our minds to basically live under the same roof for a very small amount of time, and we're
Yeah.
really close together. We have these kind of interactions. Certainly, I must say this. This is something that the text-based community probably won't solve much, but
Mm,
with systems like this, like many years ago, that was before COVID even. I was doing a lot of work on my own, and I found myself quite isolated, to the point that I remember even considering taking basically commute 13 miles back and forth to the center of Dublin, where I live,
mm,
to go to a shared desk and basically to pay, even, to basically to see faces, because you have no way to interact with anyone else,
yeah.
unless I was away for. And this is kind of a thing of the past for me, like,
Mm,
and I think for a lot of us at this point.
yeah. Yeah. It is a I keep saying it, and it's redundant, but it's a different world that we're in now, and I think we're all just trying to figure out what does this look like for us at this point. But I think, when I'm in that sort of creation mode, I start. I think the real life experience is my starting point, and then I go, now what's possible with the space that we have, like how can I bring this to the next level. And so it's a fun world to get to play in and figure out what we get to create from these spaces. I wanted to bring this up before we run out of time. It was so funny to me last night that there was a segment between songs that Boy George at the concert started talking about the internet and the digital age now, and how we're all supposed to be connected, but we think we know each other, but we're only getting a picture and all of that. But he specifically brought up the idea of community. And one of the things that we've talked about several times on the network is about this inherent need that most humans have to belong to something, and to be a part of something. And what he talked about, though, I thought was very interesting, because he talked about sometimes the line that it crosses between belonging and being a part of something into exclusion, into going, well, you can't be part of the community, and you're not a good fit, and sort of there's a dance there that's being done with that as well. But I thought it was interesting because he said, I was surprised by this, that he said, I'm not a part of any specific community. I'm a part of every community that I want to be a part of, sort of thing. Do you have any thoughts on that? I just thought I found it interesting.
So I think every time so it's an interesting observation, and
Mm,
I think there is a strong need for people to belong, right? You belong to a team, you belong to an organization, you belong to this, you belong to that. And a lot of people identify themselves. And in fact, actually, the risk is that sometimes your worth is projected in the organization, company, community that you are belonging to.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember once being at a workshop here, doesn't matter, like it was in South Africa, and someone gives me a hand and says, I'm from, and mentions the company. Like, I'm from Apple, doesn't matter, right? What the
Mm.
company is. And I said, that's very interesting, but what's your name? You know, because
Oops.
that was the idea, right? They were so like into this sense of belong. I'm worth because this company is worth, right?
Right. Right.
That then you're delegating your sense of identity to that. That's that I thought it was funny, but it does mean as well that a lot of us are very creative. We have a very strong identity feeling. I feel, I might be wrong, but a lot of us are like that, right? We have that kind of strong identity, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong on being part of a community. But every
Right.
time you create a group, I would call it a risk boundary.
Mm.
When you are within that community, you have a certain level of risk. When you go outside, the risk changes, right? Because there are people who may be just either protecting themselves or against that community or whatever. There's always a risk boundary. This obviously happens as well, like within a single team, right? In an organization,
Mm.
you're part of a team, you're safe. You're going outside, safety is just slightly a little bit less.
Yeah. Yeah. Great points for sure. And just it had me thinking, and I always am amazed when we're about to talk about a certain topic on the show and somebody mentions it and it just happens to come up at the same time. I'm very excited because as you mentioned, your platform, Ripley, is still in beta. And so can you tell us anything about when other people may be able to join us over on Ripley?
Look, it was supposed to be now. It's probably going to be a couple of weeks, maybe. Yeah, it's a matter of weeks, anyways. And the
Yeah.
problem is, we live at a time with AI where certain things are possible that weren't possible before. So for a platform of this level of sophistication, to think that I started on December first is just incredible.
It's wild.
Just incredible. It's wild. And I'm not saying that there's people in my software development community as well who are looking at this with interest, because it's a new world that is opening up. And somebody said, oh yeah, you can do this because now you have these tools available to you. True, so is everybody else, right? But there's always this kind of challenge, and I think is where we as human make the difference, right? Is what is your domain knowledge? What is your attention for details? What are your opinions on how to build things and so on? That will make the difference.
Yeah. So soon, guys, is the answer.
Yeah,
and you can go to the link that's in the description, the show notes, and check that out. There's a waiting list there that you can get on as well. And so you can go and do that. And it's just simply, he's made it easy for us, boys and girls, Ripley.com. There it is. Ripley. ILY.com. We have something fun coming up on March 17th as well, which is going to be part of Ripley Central, the Ripley community within the Ripley platform. Anything you want to say about that?
Well, you are going to host it, my dear Jessica. So yeah, I mean, this is part of a set of official community events. I want to make sure that people have like a proper experience as they enter, the Ripley world. And so, we have now every Saturday, we have the Ripley Dive, where we dive into, build rooms together, build stuff together. But on the Ripley show, maybe you have more to say about this, but definitely this is something we are organizing right now. Sponsored by Ripley. It's basically the official channel. There will be another thing about training, I guess, directly on YouTube as well. We'll definitely have different channels within that. But yeah, it's as you know, building a platform is not just about writing code, but is to develop and grow an ecosystem around it, right?
Yeah. And it's an experience. It's an experiment and an experience to participate in something like this. And I'm very excited to be the host of the Ripley show, which, like we said, is starting up in the Ripley platform on March 17th, 2026 at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And the tagline for the show is experience what's possible. And I love that because the possibilities within Ripley are absolutely endless. I'm excited to share in some fun announcements with the platform, to share in what people within the platform are building, how to, looking at, some of what is possible within the platform, and really diving in together as a community to see, all of the creative ideas that can come to life, and sharing that time with everybody. So I'm very excited to be the host of that. And I think it's going to be a really great precursor to the Ripley Dive, which is happening on Saturdays, where you go all in. It's a hands-on experiment to build something together on Saturdays. So I like the idea that this is sort of bridge to going, here's a little, you dip your toe in on Tuesdays, and then you just better be ready to go all the way to the bottom on Saturdays.
Absolutely. And but let me just say, I know a lot of people say all of us are geniuses in some areas, or at least we are really we feel that is our space. And I feel this is your area of genius, and that's why I ask you to to help me out in this direction. So
I appreciate that.
I know this.
I'm excited. It's going to be fun. Yeah.
Please.
I mean, and I don't do shows unless they're going to be fun for me. And so when you asked, I was like, yes, because I have so much fun on Ripley, so much fun creating and so much fun connecting with other people and seeing what they're building. I'm in my office on Ripley a lot, but I also spend a lot of time going to check out and see what other people are doing. Some of y'all out there, if you have your notifications on, you may notice that every night before I log off for the night, I go and hop around to different people's spaces and see what they're working on. So you may have seen like, why is she haunting me before she goes to bed? But I enjoy it. I love seeing what other people are doing. So I think it's going to be fun. And I really, truly appreciate the opportunity. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. I want to thank everybody who's out in the audience right now. You guys have had some great things to say. Peggy, Ollie, Mike, Sang, all that fun stuff. You guys have been having a good time out there. And will there be cannolis, though? The people want to know. If you come in the studio audience, I might have a cannoli for you.
And I've seen the studio that you built. Oh, that's awesome. Absolutely.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
It's going to be so fun. Anything that you want to leave our audience with today, Claudio, about community or anything that you would like to say?
Nothing at all. No. Well, first of all, I want to thank you because when I wake up in the morning, I start writing codes, and there's a time early in the morning when you're basically the first person I end up talking to. Okay. You're really the joy of the morning, I guess. And so obviously you're one of the first ones to understand as well what's going on. You see a lot of the behind the scenes. So there is a reason why I ask you to join me in this adventure. That's for sure. As for community, I absolutely love working with all of you. I always felt, even in the past community, I guess, that I created, that now is evolving and turning into Ripley. This has always been like a very collective. There's been a kind of a really shared meaning as we were building this. I had always strong opinions on what I wanted to create. And it's been incredible to see this evolving from day one into what it is right now. And so this is definitely a community. It's a platform for communities to help serve communities, to help people basically to create their own, and hopefully we'll continue to do that and expand worldwide. We'll see.
It's going to be fun, you guys. Head over to ripley.com, rippily.com, and get on the waiting list so that you know when Ripley is officially live. For those of you that are not in the beta and can jump on the fun train with us. We're having such a good time, and I can't wait for more people to be able to join. Don't forget to tune in as well, May 1st, 2026 at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, when Claudio will be my guest on the Breakthrough Show, and we'll dive into more of his story and the behind the scenes of being a developer and all that fun stuff. Claudio, thank you so much for being here today. It was super fun.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, we're going to take one more quick break. It is the first Monday of the month. We're going to see our little favorite fun music video here for You Are the Joy, and we'll be right back with birthdays after this. Thanks, Claudio.
Wake up, the world is turning. Things to do, lessons learning. Underneath the noise and rush lives fire they can't touch. Not every day comes easy. Sometimes the sky feels heavy, but joy's not only in the light, it lives strong in the fight. When the world dims down, your glow stand tall, breathe deep, let it go.
You are the joy. Welcome back to Project Joy Live. Today is Monday, March 2nd, 2026. First episode of March, you guys. I hope you are excited about the month ahead. Huge thank you again to Claudio Perrone for being here on the show with us today. I'm really looking forward to his episode of the Breakthrough Show coming up in May. Also, I think we're going to have a good time with that and really get some of the maybe behind the scenes about his journey to this point and what he's doing today. We're going to get to birthdays in just a minute, but I have a super quick update for you guys. I know that we've been talking a lot on here about the political situation that's been going on in the state of Connecticut, where homeschooling and children's welfare and all of that is concerned. I want to give a note that the hearing for the Children's Committee for SB 6 is coming up tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And so we want to make sure that if you're going to submit testimony or write to your legislators, that really needs to be done today, ASAP. I think they're saying testimony needs to be submitted 24 hours in advance. So guess what I was doing early this morning? I got my testimony in to Hartford. I also sent several, I think about 16 or 17 personal emails and customized emails to each of the members of the Children's Committee. And so for those of you in the state of Connecticut, you can go to cga.ct.gov and go check out that information. If you look on Tuesday's schedule, you just look for the hearing that's happening at 1 p.m. and you can see the proposed bill. Again, that's SB 6, and submit your testimonies by around 12 or 1 today, and then you can be emailing as much as you want. So all of that being said, it is time for birthdays, everybody. Here we go.
Happy birthday to you.
All right, everybody, birthdays today in the world of celebrity. Little baby Justin Bieber is 33 years old today, everybody. Happy birthday, Justin Bieber. Singer Kesha is 40 years old today. One of my new best friends in my head, Mark Paul Gosselaar, is 53 years old today. He was one of the ones that we hung out with at 90s Con last year. And if you have not seen it, by the way, a lot of people know Mark Paul as Zach from Saved by the Bell back in the day, but he plays a really dark character in a newer series called Found. Go check that out. He's really incredible in that series. So Mark Paul Gosselaar, happy birthday to you. The incredible Harry Belafonte, who passed away in 2023, had a birthday today. Ron Howard, who started as Opie on the Andy Griffith Show, went to Richie on Happy Days, and moved on to directing movies like Apollo 13, A Beautiful Mind, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Ron Howard is 73 years old today. And one of my school friends from back in the day, the celebrity in my life, Glenn Thomas, has a birthday today. Happy birthday, Glenn. So all of that being said, it's time to get our birthday song on. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Justin, Kesha, Mark, Harry, Ron, and Glenn. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to all those that are celebrating. I hope you have an amazing celebration. Coming up on the Breakthrough Show Network this week, I'm going to be back on Wednesday, Project Joy, with the incredible Olivia Ambani, straight from Kenya. We've got lots to talk about this week about nature and music. And then it's Flashback Friday time on Friday, March 6th with Danielle Valero on the show, one of my childhood friends. And we'll be talking about the evolution of movies over the years. That's going to be a fun one. We have lots that happens on our calendar. I encourage you all to go to thebreakthroughshownetwork.com or .club. Check out our calendar, subscribe to the calendar, and join us in things like co-working. What else do we have going on this week? Neurographic art. We have mindful doodling. We have shows. We have ducks, all of these things going on. So come and hang out with us and make way for your next big breakthrough in your life. I'll be back with you on Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. I want to thank you all very much for being here this morning. Also, again, thank you to Claudio for being here today. And I want to remind you all to make joy a priority in your life today and every day. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.